Minnesota Twins, just 18 straight series of games they've lost.
18 straight postseason games. Yeah.
And the only story that comes out of this is what Carlos Correa, the balls that he said, I hate him. First off, he was the valedictorian of his high school. He's his own agent. He is such a foolish individual because he had, he wanted to and he decided to go and he says, what are they going to say now? You know what I'm going to say now? You cheated. Your career is now tainted forever. It's not like you beat the Yankees. It's not like you beat the Rays. You beat the Twins that, first off, beat themselves because they can't hit or do anything. That have lost 8. It's not like they're playing a good playoff team. It's a terrible team. They didn't beat a good team. You're going to come out after cheating your way since the last 3 years to cheat to win. You're going to say what now after winning 2 games? Yes, they're playing better in this series against the Athletics. Fine. But you have no right at all to make a comment like that. The only way the Astros could make that comment is if they win a World Series. That's the only way they could say it because that's the only way to prove that you're that good. The cheating it's like steroids. Yeah, the player that used steroids is still a phenomenal. Barry Bonds was still a phenomenal baseball player, a superstar. Probably without steroids, he's in the Hall of Fame. But he used them. But it doesn't take away from how good of a team, how good of a player he was. He was a very good player. But no way in hell you can make that statement after beating the Minnesota Twins. You just can't make that statement. You are single-handedly the dumbest person I've ever seen in sports. And I don't care if you're the valedictorian, salutatorian. You're dumb. You're dumb. You're dumb, and it's BS, Brendan, because it really gets me pissed off when a player just be quiet. Like all the Astros could do is let their play speak for themselves because their players all messed up by not coming forward, by lying through their teeth, by blame, whatever they want to do. You just cannot. Why? There's no reason to make that comment. You just look like a freaking idiot.
Well, we knew coming into the season that no fans benefits them the most. If you had to pick one team that really got helped by no fans, it was them. And then they released this playoff format of 16 teams, and the Astros wind up making it
under 500. Yeah. They were under 500.
They're the only team in American League history to make the playoffs being under 500. They come in, and who do they get? They get the only team in the American League that just refuses to win a playoff game. And then they beat them very handily, and now they're playing the Oakland Athletics, who won their first elimination game since 1973 last series against the White Sox, and also struggle in the playoffs. No Matt Chapman either, and they're making them pay at a neutral site. They're up 5-2 again today. Carlos Correa hit 2 home runs yesterday. George Springer has 2 home runs today. And it really looks like they're going to play a team that they beat last year in the playoffs. They beat the Rays and they beat the Yankees to go to the World Series where they eventually lost. But for the MLB, how huge would it be ratings to have the Houston Astros, who are coming off a cheating scandal, against the Yankees, who they've beaten twice in an ALCS, now facing off again in a championship series?
Yankees better win. All I could say is the Yankees have to win.
If the Yankees don't win, there is going to be, first of all, the amount of embarrassment that they should feel is astronomical. And the amount of repercussions it should have. I'm glad you caught it. But they really, I want that to happen, not because I'm a Yankees fan, but because if there's one team that should shut their mouths and shut Carlos Correa's mouth, it has to be the Yankees.
Or Chapman fastball to his. Never mind.
The only other team that I would take beating them is if the Dodgers make the World Series and play Houston, if they were to get there, and then beat them in the World Series. That's the only other team it's acceptable. But the Yankees or the Dodgers, I think, has to be the team to shut their faces up, because it's utterly ridiculous that Carlos Correa is saying what he's saying. But at the same time, if they win today, they have not lost a game this postseason. So they are right now playing very well. And we know they're not cheating to do this. They're just taking advantage of some bad pitching and some bad teams that have little confidence in a postseason game. And this is a group of guys that have won a World Series, right? They've done a lot of things good in this postseason, and they know what it takes to win, regardless of if they have a buzzer or not. So somebody's going to have to knock them off before you shut them up.
If they win the World Series, the league is going to look like a complete joke, Rob Manfred, I think, is out of a job, because it's just the amount of players, fans boycotting. I mean, we're going to hear about it. I mean, they can't go to games anyway, but the amount of rioting on social media about this is crazy, because realistically, if you cheat, you don't deserve to play. I really thought that all the players that were involved in cheating should be banned from the league for a year. Make them play with their minor league players, lose money because people wouldn't go to see them, whatever the case may be. Lose money. They fire their GM. They should have fired their GM and coach and manager. Yep. The owner's still there, even though he definitely knew what was going. I mean, everybody there knew. Everybody knew. So I don't think they even deserve to be at the first off. They could even get banned from postseason competition. Like the amount of sanctions that weren't there, they got fined pocket change. It was just absurd.
I will say this: if there were fans in attendance this whole season, they're not where they are right now.
So they might be. They might be under 500. They just wouldn't make the playoffs.
No, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. They would have been much worse over if it was a full season. And remember, they did lose a couple. They have some young pieces in this lineup. If every single ballpark would have been on its feet, booing them continuously throughout the game, when they came to Yankee Stadium, no matter regular season or postseason, it would have been a war zone for them. When they went to Boston, if they played a game against LA, they would not have had the success. The same way the Yankees wouldn't have been as mediocre as they were if people in the Bronx were there, because that gives you a lift. And that would have deteriorated the Astros this year. But no fans, and it helped them. They didn't play well, but now no fans in the postseason helps them even more.
Do you think that Minute Maid Park would have been packed with fans from visiting parks? Like, do you think that people would flood there?
No, I think that they still would have had success at home because they have a good fan base now. I mean, they have a lot of fans that never showed up when they were losing, but now they have a big crowd and big support. But every road game would have been miserable for them. And we saw that when they played the Yankees, not last year, but 3 years ago, when they played in the ALCS and lost every game at Yankee Stadium. It would have been similar to that, I feel like, this year on the road. They did win 10-5 in the first game. They're up 5-2, like we said now. And we can move to another series if you want. I think we should finish with the Yankees because we have a lot more to talk about there. But the Braves and Marlins had an interesting game, back and forth affair.
Yeah, the Marlins are perfect 7-0 in postseason series as a franchise. They have it's crazy. They've won what, twice?
They've made 2 postseasons and they won both World Series when they make it.
I mean, that's as perfect as you get. I mean, it's fun to watch teams that are underdogs play always. What was the score in today's game?
They lost 9-5.
Yeah. It was Sandy Alcantara versus Max Fried, and Max Fried didn't have it. He didn't have it today. No. He goes 4 innings, gives up 4 earned runs, sets a season high, 4 Ks. He gave up a home run to Rojas. Alcantara, he was dealing. He went through 7 innings, I'm pretty sure. He got taken out in the 7th.
Now, it was a very interesting managerial decision because they let him pitch the 7th inning, and it was his 4th time through the lineup.
Yes.
And he wound up, I think he walked Acuna. They took him out.
Base hit.
And that led to a 3-run home run from Travis d'Arnaud, who Mets fans got to be sitting there like, where was this when he was on our team? And then Dansby spawns in it to 2-run home run. They put up 6 in the 7th, and that won the game. But when I watched the Marlins, right, like you said, nobody expects them to be there. Everyone loves the underdog. But fundamentally, this is as old-fashioned a baseball team as you have. They have 2 or 3 bats that can hit for power, and the rest are speedsters that when they get on are going to steal second, and they're going to force you into mistakes. And they have great situational hitting. They're fundamentally sound. It's a very old-fashioned baseball team, and it gives those old-fashioned baseball fans some hope that, hey, this style can still win games. You don't have to have 10 guys that can hit home runs, somebody coming off the bench that could also hit 10 double-digit home runs. Wow. But it's just beautiful to watch them play baseball. And despite the losing effort today, they can take a lot of optimism away from this game because the Braves are the best team in the NL East, the division that they play in.
Well, look who their manager is.
Don Mattingly.
I mean, he played in an era where small ball, that kind of stuff really pays off. But, talk about the fundamentals for the Marlins. The Braves, Freddie Freeman making an amazing diving play. Yeah. Albies making 2 unreal plays at second. I mean, this is a fun series to watch because they are very good defensively. And defense wins championships. You need those big players to make big plays. Freddie Freeman using all of his wingspan to make a play. It's just fun. And yes, the Marlins, they didn't do the job today, but that's why it's a series. It's not one game. And they have a right to be here. They played well enough. They fought adversity the whole entire season. They have a right to be here. And we'll see what happens in the next game. But, it's going to be a fun series. And if anything, and they don't win, they become now 7-1 in postseason series, which is sad. Still a solid record, but it shows that this Marlins team has a lot of potential. They have a lot of young guys, a lot of no-name guys.
They do it, and there's a lot of rookies that are playing above expectations, which will bode well for this rebuild. And I think that the one aspect of this postseason which does hurt Miami is the fact that it's 5 days in a row of games. Obviously, in a normal postseason, you have the 2 games or 3 games, then you have the travel day as an off day, and then you play again. Their bullpen is not built for the postseason. We see the Yankees, who they have, even the Astros, You look at the Athletics bullpen, the Rays bullpen, they got a stable of arms that could throw, right? They got a lot of guys that can come in and game out and play. And even they're going to struggle with 5 straight days. The Marlins don't have that. And in game 1, even being rested, their bullpen imploded at the end of the game. So I think that that's going to be their demise. But looking at this season, they already have a playoff series win way earlier than they thought they would. And they got to have a ton of confidence. After losing 100 games last year to come back, make the playoffs, and win a series, they're going to be a scary team over the next couple of years.
Everybody gave Jeter a lot of for what he was doing, but look, it's paying off. It's paying off quicker than anyone expected. But we can move on to another series. Brendan, which one do you want to tackle?
Well, we tackled Houston already, so let's preview the Dodgers and Padres. And there's a lot of news surrounding this one because Mike Clevinger, who was injured, is making the start in game 1, and that adds a little ripple effect to the series because the Padres pitching staff had been rather lackluster, we'll put it that way, against the Cardinals. Their starters were terrible. And obviously they lost Clevinger for that series. They lost to Nelson Lamet, 2 very good pitchers, and their starters just didn't do anything. And they taxed their bullpen heavily. And if Clevinger wasn't ready to go and neither was Lamet, I don't think they stand a chance this series. But now Clevinger is in game 1. And if he hasn't pitched in a while and he has an elbow injury, so you're not sure how good he could be, but if he could be 90% of what he was, he's going to give you 6 strong innings and give you a chance now to beat a Walker Buehler.
Yeah, I think his motion is so weird that it's so dominant. He gets rid of the ball so fast, and I feel like he hides it so well. But this is a perfect time to come back.
Yep.
But you got to come back and do your job. You can't come back and go 2 innings. I mean, we've seen the playoffs. We see the short leashes. We saw with Max Fried is one of the best pitchers in the NL. He was, I think, the best pitcher in the NL. Dominant stuff. He's gone after 4 innings. But you see a guy like Alcantara, who, despite getting up 3 runs, is in there till the 7th. So it's unique to see what managers, they do with a short leash. I'm assuming Clevenger is going to have a short leash. You're going against a Dodgers team the Dodgers are the Dodgers for a reason. Mookie Betts being there just helps them.
I would think he'd have a pitch count.
Yeah, definitely. And for Walker Buehler, he had 4 innings pitched, 2 runs in the wild card series. You don't expect a guy like Walker Buehler going 4 innings. So it'll be interesting to see this matchup. For the Dodgers, though, like you said, you want to see them play the Astros in the World Series and beat them. This Dodgers team is just, it's not even offensively, defensively. They're just so good, but they're so deep. Yep. Like, I know Bellinger didn't have a great year, and it doesn't matter. I mean, like, they have so many other pieces that clicked. I mean, Mookie Betts coming was...
They made a big offseason splash that wound up really paying off.
Yeah, I mean, well, speaking of pay, money-wise. But you just look at this team, and they're just so good. And we go back to, can Kenley Jansen close it out when it matters? The question, I want the Padres to win. I love the Padres. I think what they're doing is sick. I love... let the kid. Fernando Tatis is such a thrill to watch. The play he made at second base the other day when he kept his foot on the bag.
Yep.
No other players making that play. The fun they have though when he hit the home. I mean, it's fun. It's making baseball fun again. And baseball, they've gotten away from that for a couple of years, and we saw it last year with who is it? On the White Sox, Anderson.
Yep.
Right when Anderson. He let the kids play. I mean, everyone was against that. The old-fashioned players like, no, don't do this. It's so fun watching Acuna, all these guys do what they do and having a blast doing it. I mean, that's the epitome of the Padres. And I mean, it's going to be tough, and the Padres might have a hard time. I don't think the Dodgers didn't really blow out the team they faced last round.
No, the Brewers gave them a battle a lot more than people thought.
Exactly. So I think that we're going to see something again like that, where we're not going to see it going to be a blowout, which we don't usually see in the playoffs anyway, except if you're Yankees.
Yep.
But but see, we'll get to the Yankees in a second because it was a blowout, but at the same time, it was one hit that really broke it out.
Before we leave this series,
the
flip side of the Dodgers battling the Brewers, even though the pitching staff gave up 2 runs over 2 games, right? Kershaw had a shutout. Buehler gave up 2. The bullpen didn't give up anything. Yeah. Kershaw then in the next game, 8 innings strong, no runs, and they shut down the Brewers offensively. They just couldn't really score at the same clip we're accustomed to seeing. The Padres struggled against a St. Louis Cardinals team that had played countless doubleheaders and had a ridiculous schedule, and that doesn't bode well for what they did to their bullpen. Obviously, they used it a lot in game 1. They used them even more in game 2, and then they opened with them in game 3. So that is a lot of pitching done on that bullpen. And yes, you have a couple of days off now, but if Clevinger can't go,
say that if you can't go past 4 innings, your bullpen's going to be game 1.
They're going to get exposed.